Okay. Going right into what we were talking about just a second ago is on PC and other platforms that I've seen, games that are multiplayer only or online only tend to be anywhere from $20 to $40 depending on how massive the game is. While we as console gamers pay a full price for it, but we're getting half of the game. Also, with PC players, they can go in and after the company shuts down a server after a year or two, they can make their own servers for that game, something console gamers cannot do. And the shelf life of multiplayer games like Destiny and Overwatch and Battlefront is very short. Like Destiny right now is going for $6-7 at GameStop. I actually took pictures of it. I'll post on my Twitter. But these games are basically dead at this point in the water, and we play full price for a game that we only got a year and a half of life out of. Should we be paying full price for these games? Like, I'm sorry, but if it's multiplayer only, and I'm still going to pay the price just to get the game because it's Friday the 13th. I was a huge horror fan growing up. That's a niche for me. So yes, I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite in that viewpoint, but it's a niche thing I want to get and collect just because of what it means to me. But should we be paying $60 for these games? Like, does it make sense when it's not even half of a game? It's literally just the multiplayer. And because of the multiplayer, we won't even get to play that game forever, especially on console. At least PC players who are paying that $20 to $30 price range, they can play it forever since people can just easily open up their own servers for it. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on this? I would really like to know and see everybody's viewpoints and where we're coming from.
Well, if what we were just talking about with the cross-platform, if that becomes a thing, I think a lot of what what you were talking about here is only getting so long, and then a PC player can just turn around and open up a private server. I think that would start to become like a thing of the past, honestly. Yeah. Because if it's cross-platform and you can play it from your Xbox One, well, they shut down the official server. I can give you the IP to my private server, and boom, bada bing, bada boom, cross-platform. You just got X amount more months out of that as long as somebody is willing to pay for a server. But with that being said, I do not think $60 for any console game is fair at this point. Yeah, I understand there's a supply and demand. They have to keep the office running and the people hired and paid and everything like that. But they're running through these so quickly, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'll dial it back 14 years. I was 10 years old, I would get a Madden game every year, but it's Madden, it updated my roster and stuff like that. And then, turn around and get a Final Fantasy game every 4 or 5 years because they expect you to sit there and play it and look for all the little codes and little things that are hidden in it. But at that same time, it's just like, how long of a life should a game have, too? You got to stop and think about that because, if you have something like, let's say Elder Scrolls Online, which is, not even a year old yet?
For PC, it's been about 2.5. It's been about almost a year for console.
Okay, so I was off for some whatever. But anyway, you look at the shelf life of that, and how long that's been around for PC, 2.5 years. Then you look at console. I think a lot of what it has to do is how many people are still logging on from a console. How many people are still playing this from a console? Call of Duty is another notorious one about it because they'll sit there and they'll release a new game every other year, every year, and that's what's killing the previous game and shutting the servers down. I mean, I've seen it with Battlefield as well. I was an avid Battlefield fan. I've had it since Battlefield 2, and I've played all the way up since then. But, it's like they're releasing a new game every 2 or 3 years instead of just going back and working on the one they have. And that's what makes me upset about it because it's like, why the fuck are you not going back and, adding more to this game and stuff like this? And the as far as the pre-order, get these maps and then we'll buy this and that for the game now because it's a thing. I think that's crap. If a game can manage to reach its 1-year anniversary, okay, throw some DLC at me for $15. We'll see what we can't figure out there. But if you're trying to shove DLC down my throat every 5 fucking weeks, I don't want to play the game anymore because I've already paid $60. then another $60 to buy all the DLC that you released with
for a new skin or a new skin of a gun.
Yeah,
I understand.
And it's just like, every time they do that, it just kind of, I feel, I don't know if there's any other players that feel pushed away by DLC being shoved down their throats, but I feel like that might be another factor that needs to be played into this too, is like, I'm constantly getting bombarded with paying for this fucking game that I've already bought that I should have had.
I think you have a topic for another week, and at least with Bethesda, we get a brand new, whole new storylines and arcs. I think that's one of the few companies that are still doing the DLC right. But yes, Monkey Paws?
Honestly, what I see is, honestly, I think it's all of a point of view standard. Some people just like multiplayer only games. So why not have it be full price? I mean, let's say, because I have people that I'm friends with at work that have played, like some of the games on screen, Evolve, Titanfall, that are just multiplayer, and I think they're worth it because I've played them as well. They're very good games. They do have a story behind them, although there is not. Yeah, it's not included in the game. I mean, Titanfall was multiplayer, like you played against other people, but it was a storyline. You had battles against this person, and whoever won that, you heard the story as if you lost that battle.
And I will definitely give Titanfall props for that.
And that was, and I thought that was done very well. And it was, but I think it is very much a point of view. There are people that are strictly into stories, and for that they stay close to games like Doom, Fallout, Dragon Age, Mass Effect. Those are the games that people want to play for stories. But for those that are just, hey, I want to get into a game and shoot people, they're gonna go into online multiplayer. It is what it is. You're going to have different players that have different tastes. That's why we have only online multiplayer games.
See what happened to the days where we had both in the same game, and both people could get both aspects of it. One day you feel like a multiplayer, okay, fine. The other day you feel like campaign, okay, fine. That was a full game. Multiplayer only is half the work, but for the same price,
Well, then you can say the same thing about things that just have story in it.
Very true, depending on how much is in there.
Well, it's actually the exact same concept. I mean, it really what it comes down to. Sorry, I have to wait for Deanna to mute so she doesn't hear me 5 times. You good? Okay. So if you really come to think about it, though, what it really boils down to is the gamer themselves, they actually need to research before they put down that kind of money. So we already know that the game is going to be $60. We can't argue that. It just is what it is. You can either wait until the price drops or you can not get it or whatever you decide to do. But like with me, I prefer story modes because I like to get like completely immersed in the game that I'm playing. And that's part of the reason why I freaking love the Borderlands series so much, is because I can do that, and I do still have the option to play online with either random players or my friends. So I see where you're coming from with that, Brandon, in that we have the option to do either one. But in games where it is primarily story only and there is no online play, or where they're only online play and no story mode, it's kind of getting to the point, because here's what we're running into, and we're even seeing it even within our own little podcast here, is that there are going to be people that think we should have both, some that think we should have no online play, and then some that think it should be only multiplayer. And when you have that kind of, I guess, I don't want to say argument because it's not really argument, but difference of opinion, you have to realize that all of these developers are constantly being bitched at by us gamers that they only want this, this, and this. And so they're like, okay, we're going to do this game and it's going to be only online play. And we're going to do this one, it's going to be hybrid. And then we're going to do this one, it's going to be only single player. And so when that happens, I mean, it kind of comes down, and that's what I do. You know, I try to research before I purchase. Now, Overwatch was an exception because I was just like, oh my God, I need this game in my life, and I did. But, you know, with,
Right.
you know, stuff like that, it's really going to be beneficial for, you know, us gamers, especially going forward now that we're experiencing something like this where it is only online, more than it is both. To kind of know what we're getting ourselves into. And, you know, I mean, every game, you know, given the cost, it's an investment. It's not just a purchase. You know, $60 could go for something else, but we're making the choice to put it into that game. And so I think that's where it's going to, and I don't think, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because before it wasn't that much of an issue. I mean, basically any game that you bought, you could pretty much guarantee that it was going to give you the option for both. But now we're reaching into the point where it's not like that anymore. And we're just going to have to be very careful that before we purchase a game that we know what we're buying, that we know what we're investing in, and that we know that we're in the understanding of, I mean, you know, if it is online multiplayer only, can we deal with that if we put down that kind of price?
Now, do you think we should hold companies to higher standards like they used to be, where they should at least have both, or price should be discounted, or what do you think? I want to hear more of your opinion.
The demands of the greater populace. I mean, we're demanding only online games, and so that's what they're given to us. I mean, it's basically like if they were to take the campaign out of Call of Duty. I don't know anybody that's played campaign on Call of Duty.
Well, the first three were actually really good. I see what you're saying, but it died out. But like you and me have talked about this before, like that very first Modern Warfare and Black Ops.
I mean,
yeah.
But yeah, I understand what you mean. But like, do you see, like, now that the further that it goes, people are pissed off because they're like, oh, well, I have this option to play campaign, but why? Because nobody ever plays campaign on Call of Duty. And so they're like, okay, well, people want first-person shooters that are only online gameplay because they prefer the online gameplay. So that's where, like, Titanfall came into play. That's why, like, yes, Titanfall has this kind of backstory to it as you're playing through it. But there's no separate single-player campaign that you can play by yourself. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, and to add on to that, since you were talking and actually made me think a little bit, I think a lot of the problem with this, because there is like a huge community of people, kind of like me, who are like, where's our full game? I think a lot of us in the last couple of years have just not gotten any campaign modes in our shooters. But like, that's why I think Doom's really popular right now, is it brought back the campaign mode, you know what I mean? A lot of people who like shooters who kind of got sick of the multiplayer didn't have any campaign for a while, and now we're finally getting that. So hopefully, maybe they'll just bring that back for a certain group, and the other group can have kind of what they say. I still, in just my opinion, I think you still should have a price differential if you don't have both, but that's just me. But I can understand what, you know what I mean? I see where you're coming from, and hopefully we'll see more sides of both coming in the future.
Yeah, so, but yeah, I think that's definitely just what it's coming down to, is that, you know, we're going to have to know what we're getting ourselves into before we throw down $60 for a game anymore.
Yeah, definitely, very true.
Like, I pre-ordered Battlefield 1, and, like, I don't know that it's going to have a campaign by itself. I think that it will, but, you know, this is the first year that I've ever purchased a Battlefield game. All of my other games have been Call of Duty, and we know that those are both. But, you know, that's one of those things that if I, like, sitting and thinking about it, you know, if I end up, you know, paying the $80 for the, you know, the special edition or whatever that I paid for, then am I going to be okay if it's only multiplayer? And the answer is yes, I would be okay with that. But, you know, it's one of those things that, like, with Overwatch, you know, I paid the $60 because I was like, oh, you know, I really like the, you know, mechanics of this game and blah, 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 and I really want to play it. And so, but do I feel that it would be better with the story mode? Yes. But am I mad that it's $60 and it's only online? No, I'm not.
Now, how do you feel? This just popped in my head. How does everybody feel about, since everything, these games are online only, at some certain point, like when we move on to another console or somewhere in the future, you won't be able to play these games at all within a few years? Does that bother you guys at all, or what are you guys' opinions on it, everybody?
I mean, it doesn't really bother me too much if it ends up being phased out. I mean, it would be no different than any of the past generation consoles, like even with Nintendo. I mean, when N64 came out, you couldn't play Super Nintendo games on that. It had a whole new cartridge.
Yeah, but what I mean about it is you could still play it. Well, what I mean is you could still actually play the game on the older console. with these games that are online only, at a certain point, you will not be able to access any of the features on them, even if you still have that older console. Does that bother you at all? Sorry, I should have phrased it better. My bad.
Oh, I really don't see that being an issue because I mean, even the Call of Duty 4 servers are still active, and that game came out like what, 12 years ago? It's been a long time.
See,
they're hacked to shit, but
yeah, but there are some games, you know what I mean, where the servers don't work at all anymore. Yeah, like what game is it? There's a game where it's like Area 51-ish almost from the Xbox 360, where the servers don't work, so you can't do the multiplayer. But if that was made today, where it's multiplayer, well, not multiplayer, but just online only type of game, that means nobody could get on it. Does that bother you, VOD knockers, or monkey paws? Where if you just couldn't buy the copy of the game you had anymore?
Yeah, in a way, but just real quick, because I was thinking about something Carmageddon said a minute ago. DICE, the developers for the Battlefield games, will be releasing a campaign for that. They understand the blight of the online players versus the campaign-winning players. DICE refuses to let a game go out without campaign mode.
Also, the people behind the new Mirror's Edge that's coming out this month. Actually, in a couple days.
I'm really excited about the Battlefield 1 one.
Yeah, me too.
Sure.
Continue, Justin. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. There's some games it's just like, you know, if I can never buy it again, I won't cry. But then there's some games where it's like, you know, I'd really like a fucking way to get a hold of that. But for console gamers, it's a little bit easier for that. You know, you dredge around inside of the $5 bin at GameStop. For PC gamers, if it's gone, it's gone.
Well, see, we're moving into that with see, that's what we're moving into with the online only type of games, you know.
Yeah. Now, granted, there probably is a place where you can get the cracked unofficial version of a game, but if you get that, you know, can't play online. I mean, it's more suited towards, you know, the like Carmageddon, the more campaign-based kind of people that enjoy a good campaign. So, you know, but usually when you get a cracked game, you can't play it online because you'll be banned from servers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like PS2 already did that. That PlayStation already shut down all of the PlayStation 2 network. So again, I think it's something that should just come to be expected as it gets phased out. I don't think it's really something that we can get upset about.
Yeah, but at least you can,
what it is.
Yeah, but at least you can still play Crash Bandicoot. On these new generations, soon it'll be
the
to
Xbox One servers are first Xbox.
Yeah, the Xbox servers are shut down too. Original Xbox servers.
Yeah, but with those, see what I don't know if I'm phrasing it right or not, but like those games will still work. You just can't play multiplayer. But the games that we have now that are online only, like once that server shuts down, that game is unplayable from the get-go. Like, you can't even do single player.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that wouldn't bother me.
See, and it's like from a preservation of video games, it just makes me sad. A video game history.
Yeah. I mean,
think about
if
we could
it's
never play
online
Pac-Man
multiplayer
again.
only, then there was nothing to, in my opinion, if it's online multiplayer only and there was like no story mode behind it, then you're not really preserving much of anything.
Well, I mean, game mechanics, ideas, artwork, you know.
Yeah.
New graphical creations that were out for that certain time period that, you know what I mean? I don't know, I guess I'm weird. I look at games from an art standpoint too and the preservation of it.